lot of respect for obviously Coach Hurley and his program. The way that I thought, the difference in the game today was just the way that they continued to attack. They were more relentless than us. Thought there was a lot of possessions where we defended them well, but they just stayed with it. They kept attacking. They kept battling. They forced some switches that they got the ball inside of their bigger guys that created opportunities for them. And then the way they attacked the glass in the second half was a huge, huge difference maker. Certainly would take holding UConn to 43% from the field, 21% from three, them only shooting 2 more free throws than us. But, we got to score more than 57 points if that's the case. I like a lot of the looks our guys got from outside. We've got to bounce into those shots and shoot the ball well, better. Around the basket, we got to finish better. There's a lot of stuff we need to work on there. But, I told the guys after in the locker room that the stretches of the game where we were lost in the moment and competing as a group of 5, I liked the look in their eyes. We just didn't do it consistently enough.
That first 5 minutes of the second half, you guys kind of lost touch a little bit. Is that all the stuff you were talking about, or what did you see during that?
We had the lead at 5 with less than 2 minutes left in the first half. I think with where our team is right now, a lot of it is, trying to build belief and in small segments, you're not even talking about the whole game, like just win this next round, whether it's 2 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever it may be. Coming out of halftime, I thought UConn did a good job of playing with force, and we did not stand up to them enough. And then on our offensive end, there was too many single actions. It needs to be multiple actions against a team like that. I actually think when we played through multiple actions, we got pretty good looks most of this game. We didn't make most of them. But when we had a single action, it was a lot of dribbling afterwards and then not quite getting to what we want.
I know you guys like not just aggressiveness, but 5 for 18. Do you think he was too single-minded in his approach, or what do you think of him?
Man, he's fearless. He's going to win a lot of games over the course of his career. He's learning right now, and he's drinking through a fire hose. And, we start 2 freshmen in the backcourt, and those are guys that, typically you want to come in and learn from some older guys. What we're asking out of them, particularly NJ, is, almost unrealistic. But, I like his aggressiveness. There's certain plays we'll certainly watch and look at what we can learn and do better, but he cares. He's got an unbelievable passion. But absolutely, there were some plays that, we got to move it to the next side and get to another action.
I think it's the 3rd or 4th game that we've seen Cade start, and then he comes off pretty early on in the games. What's the reason for keeping him in the starting lineup? Do you think he's going to continue for the season?
He's actually, by the numbers, he's our best defensive player. So just when you're playing against a guy like Terrace Reed, he gives us the most physicality. One of the reasons he hasn't played much in the last 2 games has been foul trouble. He got 2 fouls, 90 seconds today. And then he got to his 3rd foul very quickly to start the second half. So typically he would play more than he's played the last couple games. But he's been in foul trouble. And certainly he hasn't played his best all around in the last few games, or maybe the last several games. And I thought Josh Clark was terrific today. He gave us some really, really good minutes, and we were plus 10 when he was in the game. But Caden is someone that on the defensive end, he gives us a physicality. Reed is a load, and so that's definitely the thought process there.
That's a season low in points for you. What makes their defense so good?
Well, I think, effort. Those guys, they have a unique defense compared to most of the teams that we play in that they only really help when they have to. I mean, they stay home for the most part with guys. But what that requires is, like, really, really battling, and staying in front of a guy. I'll have to watch the tape to get the total number. We had a lot of paint touches tonight, but those paint touches didn't always, a lot of possessions did not turn into points. And the credits to UConn for staying in front and then making the shot really tough. They have a physicality about them. We needed to draw more fouls on a game like today. the fouls, the free throws for us in the first half stabilized us a little bit offensively and gave us a little bit of, just stability out there to get to the next play. We didn't have enough of those early in the second half.
Shaka, you've had obviously some great battles with UConn over the years, seen some great UConn teams. How would you compare for all this team to maybe the ones past couple of years, 2, 3 years ago, championship teams?
Well, I think just still evolving. I really like the pieces that they have. I like the role definition that they have. I love Mullins. I think getting Ross back is a big key for them because he just gives them a really, really strong, solid plus defender coming off the bench. But yeah, I think they got a chance to have a heck of a season. Obviously, they're off to a great start, and the way that they play offensively is as hard to deal with as anybody.
Shaka, you talked about Josh and how much he gave you today. What are you looking to unlock from him moving forward? How much more do you want to play him to see what he's all about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really proud of him. He's a guy that, a year and a half ago, he had no scholarship offers, his senior year in high school. And, he came to Marquette it was his only option. And he came and he redshirted and he worked. And he's come a long way with his mentality, just the way that he's approached the game. And one of the things we've learned about him, unlike most players, he's better in the games than in practice, which as a coach, that's not how you draw it up, but you'd actually like that better than the opposite. And we have some guys that are the opposite currently right now. We feel like we can change that. But, he's done well with the minutes he's gotten. We got out the calculator this morning at breakfast and calculated his rebounding interval, which is how many minutes it takes him to get one. And he's getting one in less than 3 minutes on average. So he just, being tall and long, he makes some plays around the baskets that other guys can't make on both ends of the floor. He's still green in a lot of ways. Defensively, he's got a lot to learn there. But, this is probably the best thing that came out of today for us is just an understanding that, hey, that guy's got to be in the game more.
Coach, you shot 5 of 24 today.
Yeah.
What do you think was the issue with the shooting tonight?
Man, both teams did. I thought both teams had a lot of good looks that you would think would result in a higher percentage. On our end, we shot a lot of short balls, a lot of balls that came off the front of the rim. A couple didn't even get to the rim. We got to bounce into our shots. You got to when that's happening, you got to use your legs more. I think maybe there's some heaviness on the part of our guys because they want to win and, they feel certain plays not going our way. But, when you step up and shoot the ball, you got to have a level of, hey, I'm letting it go, man, and I'm willing to live with the result. And so that's still something we're going to keep striving for.
Sean's just been snake bitten by injuries.
Yeah.
How serious is that?
I'm not positive. It's like a turf toe type of thing, but it was pretty. It was on the more tough side, and he tried to practice yesterday. The injury occurred on Thursday. He tried to practice yesterday, and he couldn't move very like himself. And as you know, Sean's game is predicated on speed, quickness, stopping and starting. The X-ray was clean, which is good, but we'll just have to wait and see how long it takes for it to settle down for him to be able to play with less pain. He really, really wants to be out there. He was so distraught, and as we've talked about before, he needs some runway of games to get under his belt. So hopefully he'll be able to come back soon.